I would trade in my Oscar for the Knicks to get a ring.
Oh, come on.
I would.
Wow.
Really?
You know why?
Why?
Because I don't need an Oscar to validate my work. Do the right thing. It's gone around the world. It's taught in universities and colleges. So the Oscar is not like all of a sudden this film is validated. It's in the National Register of Films, Library of Congress, along with Malcolm X. So I don't need the Oscar to validate it.
So if God came down to you and said, I'm taking this Oscar and the Knicks can win a championship this year, you're giving it right away?
In a heartbeat.
Wow. All right, so Chirac, is that, am I correct?
Chirac.
Tell me about it. It's coming out tonight, right?
Comes out today. It's Amazon Studios' first film.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else didn't want to make it. And it's starring a wonderful cast, Nick Cannon, Samuel Jackson, Dave Chappelle, John Cusack.
Lala Anthony.
Lala Anthony's in it. And, Angela Bassett, Wesley Snipes. And it's about Chirac is a term that was originated by Chicago rappers who still feel today that Iraq is safer than the South Side of Chicago. We started filming June 1st and finished July 9th. During that time, 331 people wounded and shot, 65 got murdered. And
in that shorter period of time?
Yes, from June 1st to July 9th. And it's escalated since then. So we wanted to take a look at film, use this film to look what's happening. But we did a novel approach. The great Greek playwright Aristophanes wrote a play called Lysistrata in 411 BC, a play, a satire about this woman who's tired of Greece being all these wars, so she starts a sex strike. She gets women together, and we're going to shut it down till men stop warring. And so we took that premise and moved it to South Side Chicago today. So.
And you took a ton of heat. In my world, we talked about it a lot on Hot 97,
right.
But, you know, the blogs, everyone jumped all over Spike. First of all, the name Chirac, a lot of people got on you for using it. They thought you were trying to capitalize on a trendy term. And then when they saw the trailer, it seems like, and we pointed this out, people ignored satire in any way and sort of thought you weren't taking Chirac seriously and the problems of Chicago seriously. How do you respond to that?
Well, as Mike Tyson would say, it's ludicrous. It's satire. Satire is a way you could really deal with very serious subject matter. One of my favorite filmmakers is Stanley Kubrick. One of my favorite films is Dr. Strangelove. What's more serious than the destruction of this God's planet with the nuclear holocaust? That film is hilarious. But on top of that, why would Jennifer Hudson, one of Chicago's finest, a daughter of Chicago, whose mother was murdered, brother and nephew, be in a film that ridiculed her family being murdered? Why would she be in that? It doesn't make any sense. So, I mean, I have nothing but love for Chicago. I'm sorry people got that twisted, but that was not the case at all.
Now, this is a very serious movie because you're trying to send out a very serious message.
But we use humor in it because of the satire.
But it's about guns, and guns are very much in the news over the forever, but certainly over the last couple of months.
Yes, and that's for me, that's the takeaway if you see this film, that we as a nation have to have a serious discussion about guns. I'm not talking about taking away anybody's Second Amendment rights. Every day, 88 Americans in this country die because of gun violence. That's 32,000 a year. I mean, if we're the democracy and the beacon of all that stuff, that should be, I mean, other nations, I travel all over the world, and they always ask me, what the hell is happening in America?
Right.
Sandy Hook, Charleston, you had the Planned Parenthood, and now in San Bernardino. I mean, it's sad. And I just feel that there are things we could do without even going near American citizens' Second Amendment rights. Tougher background checks, title guns like cars. I mean, in some states it's easier to get a driver's license, to get a gun. And they're not getting like little pistols. They're getting AK-47 assault weapons.
Right.
So this is a serious problem.
Well, there's no question there's a problem. Was it 61 mass gun shootings since Newtown?
Yeah, I think so.
And you would have thought after Sandy Hook that would be the thing that like the NRA would step back.
No.
I mean, you would have thought.
No, they never step back. And it's funny too. You know, you and I won't go down a huge political tangent because I know you and I could go to a whole different place. But it's interesting because it's all on so much of this President Obama has been so stalwart on this issue. Every time there's a shooting, he says, love, prayers, we have to solve the gun problem.
And the Democrats tried to pass something yesterday, and the Republicans just squashed it. So I don't know what's going to take.
All right, on a much less serious note, but it is something that
yes, we can segue. The orange and blue tonight.
Well, this isn't orange and blue yet, but I mentioned this to Michael when I came in today. I was listening to my hero in radio, of course, one of the reasons I got into it, Howard Stern, and he had Nick Cannon on this week. Shout out to Nick, who did a great job. And Nick talked about how he wanted to get you guys together, and Howard was saying that he feels that because he's been critical of your films over the years, said some harsh things about you, it led to negative feelings, and he doesn't think you'd ever want to talk to him. We solve problems here on the Michael Cannon Show.
We bring people together.
So I want to ask, would you ever sit down with Howard Stern? Do you have a problem with him and any of the things he said about you over the years?
I mean, I have a problem with it, and look, I just know it's not. I don't. You know, it's not my. I don't wake in the morning saying I want to be in the Howard Stern show. So,
when you see him at a Knicks game, you never think I'm to dap him up or say anything.
I ignore him.
Know him enough.
I said I the Brooklynese.
Oh, you ignore him.
I ignore him.
Oh, you ignore him.
Yeah.
You Brooklyn him that hard.
I mean, we're just two different people. Two different things. I mean, what he does for. I mean, that's not me, you know. That's just not me.
But he does a lot of different stuff, though. I mean, he does very broad, in-depth interviews. You guys are both two iconic New Yorkers. Doesn't look
for
like
those that are listening on radio,
Donald Trump's an iconic New Yorker, too. So
Spike is shaking his head, so for those that are not watching on Yes.
Don't count down to the interview.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen.
Look, you don't have to be Henry Kissinger today.
All right.
Howard, I tried. Give him credit for trying, but you have to be thrilled with Porzingis. It's the first thing you said when you came in here. I mean, when was the last time you got excited about a player like this?
Jeremy Lin.
Oh, stop.
Hey, you asked me a question.
All right, so why is this not going to go that way?
What?
This is not going that way.
Oh, of course not. But you asked me, I'm not going to lie. All New York City was ecstatic. I mean, he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Back-to-back weeks.
Yeah. That game, though, against the Lakers, that was amazing.
I was at that one. That was
amazing. But Porzingis is a real deal. And I want to say this on your show. I want to take, so whoever that kid's name is, whoever that kid is, that
the little whiner?
Please.
Trying to make this happen.
Give him a break. But the kid that was crying, I want to take him. I want to have him sit courtside with me one game, just so people, if you know who this guy is, call the station. I want to take
the little kid who was crying during the draft.
When the Knicks drafted Porzingis and they cut him, he was crying, a bucket of tears. Whoever you are, have your father call. I will take to a game this year, sit courtside with me. I want you to meet the guy who's going to make you jump up and down for joy for the next 15 years.
But you know what's great about that kid crying? That when Porzingis goes into the Hall of Fame in Springfield, they're going to play that clip. And that kid's going to be 30 years old. He's going to be so embarrassed for what he did that night.
But this is going to be redemption. So I say...
You're going to bring people together like we do.
Yeah.
Except recently.
when the layup line say, hey, come here for a second. This is the kid. So I'm going to say, introduce yourselves. And you say, I'm sorry I cried.
Well, he had an excuse.
What was his excuse?
12. What about all the 35, 40-year-olds that were crying that day, too?
Yeah,
for the same reason the kid did.
But
because everybody told him who to pick.
But they weren't on nationwide television crying, though.
That's right. I'll never forget it. I'll never forgive him.